"Sir, I need you to step away from the flag," the airport manager said firmly. Though his voice held a trace of hesitation, his hand hovered just inches from the casket draped in the American flag. Sergeant Mark Adams didn't move. With his gloved hand, he held the flag carefully. His back was straight, eyes locked forward, silent and still. People walking by stopped. Conversations faded. The air felt heavy, like the whole world had paused. At Gate 4 to be a different kind of battle was unfolding, not with weapons but with dignity. "I already told you, step back. You're not allowed to touch the cargo," the manager repeated, louder now, signaling for security. He didn't understand. He couldn't understand. Mark stayed quiet, with all due respect. "Sir," Mark finally said, voice calm and steady, like he'd said it 100 times. "This is not cargo. This is a sailor, and I'm not moving." A security officer stepped closer. "Look, we've got rules. You're holding up the flights." Mark slowly turned his head and looked the officer in the eye. "There are rules, and then there's honor." Behind him, the flag laid perfectly over the casket, no creases, no folds out of place. Inside was a young soldier, Jake Parker, killed in action at just 20-3. He didn't get to walk off the plane. Jake wasn't just another Marine. He was Mark's Marine, the one he trained, the one he laughed with, the one he carried on his back after Jake twisted his ankle on patrol. Now, Mark was carrying him one last time. The cause had asked Mark to escort the body home. It was a sacred duty. He had to take Jake from the plane to his family without delay, without distraction. But the airport didn't have time for that. Baggage had to move. Flights had to leave. To them, it was just another crate. "Sir," the manager stepped in again. "This isn't a funeral home. We don't do ceremonies here. Step aside, or we'll have you removed." Mark could have explained it all. The tradition, the code, the silence, the salute. But something inside wouldn't let him. He thought about Jake telling stories. About home, his mum's lemon pie, fishing with his dad. The sister's graduation he missed because of deployment. And how he sang Country Roads after every mission, saying it was the GPS for his soul. This wasn't a delivery. It was a goodbye. And only Mark could make sure it wasn't forgotten. Then, a small voice broke the rising silence. "Mummy, why is he holding the flag?" a little girl asked, clutching a teddy bear. Her mum tried to quiet her, but Mark looked down and offered a gentle smile. "He's making sure someone gets home," he said softly. The manager had no words. The security team stood still. Something shifted for the first time. They felt the weight of it all. Mark leaned forward slightly and said, barely above a whisper, "This man gave everything. That flag isn't decoration. It's a promise." And then he began to walk slowly, steadily. His hand never left the flag. He led the walk of honor through the terminal, not because he had permission, but because he had purpose. People stood. Hats came off. Hands covered hearts. A veteran in a wheelchair gave a trembling salute. Tears fell. No one moved. Some lifted their phones not to record, but to remember. Someone started to sing the national anthem. Others joined in, and in the middle of flights and rolling suitcases, time stood still. By the time they reached the family, Mark was exhausted. His gloves soaked with sweat. His back ached. His throat burned, but he didn't stop. Jake's mother collapsed in tears at the sight of the casket. His father, voice shaking, saluted. His sister dropped to her knees and whispered, "Welcome home, Jake." Mark stood in silence, meeting her eyes. Only then, gently, he let go of the flag. He folded it into a perfect triangle, knelt down and placed it in the mother's hands. He didn't die alone, he said. He was loved. He was honored. He stood back up and looked around at the silent crowd. The airport manager stepped forward, his eyes red. I didn't understand," he whispered. "I'm sorry." Mark nodded once. "You do now." And then, a quiet applause began. Slow, respectful. It spread through the terminal like a wave of gratitude, because in that moment, everyone remembered